Kim, I am so excited to have you here. And I'm just going to go ahead and read your bio. And so, Miss Kim Washington. Kim is a Christ follower. She is a wife. She is a mother. She is an evangelist, a teacher, a mentor, an author, and a purpose pursuer and pusher. It is her privilege and God-given purpose to help other girls and women claim the identity God created them to embody. Kim enjoys the responsibility of sharing the lessons she has learned with others to help them avoid and or overcome challenges. There is no greater joy than seeing a young girl or woman walk into who God made her to be with full confidence and authority. So by all means, please do give a virtual round of applause for Miss Kim Washington, the owner of Empower Her. Hey, Kim.
Frankie. Hey, Frankie.
How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited for you.
This is just an amazing time. Hi, Miss Tiffany. So we do have some of the folks who are saying hello to us. And so I just want to say hi to them. And I know that we are going to have a power-packed time together. And I'm just really excited to see what God is doing in your life and to see how you can be a benefit and share your gifts with others. And so how are you doing? How did your day start off this morning?
Listen, I normally reside in Germany, right? But I'm in the States right now. And so I am in South Carolina for my niece's birthday celebration. She turned 16. And so that's a big milestone. We had to be here for that. And so the day started out interesting. I am probably 2 or 3 shades darker than I was when I came. So what I was going to do for my face can't happen. And so I was in the bathroom trying to figure it out. And then I said, listen, child, this is about God gifting you. You get your face on here however it looks. You do the best that you can. You sit down and you do what you were supposed to do. So I had to get my mind a little in check, just because, when you're about to do something and there's impact in it, like I told you before, I know this is a big deal and people are going to see it and people are going to be changed and people are going to watch it and women are going to be that much more tuned into who God made them. Then the enemy is going to come and he's going to start with us. He's going to give us stuff in our minds to be like, oh, can you? Because all of a sudden yesterday we were getting ready to leave and I said, oh my God, I felt nervous just all of a sudden for it. And I said, okay, I'm going to say it out loud. We're going to rebuke it and we're going to move on. And so I just am thankful to know that when you're doing what God calls you to do, regardless of how the enemy may come and try to get you not to do it or put doubt in your mind or bring up things that you aren't normally concerned about, because on a daily basis, I don't really wear makeup, so I don't care. So these are things that I know how the enemy is trying to get me off, but he's defeated already. And so I thank God for being able to know that and that we're going to do this. And this is beautiful already. I'm so excited. I have been so excited for this. Like I have been telling people, I've been talking about it. I've been like, you sign up, you register, you sign up. You got to see what Frankie's doing. Frankie is doing things. And so I'm just excited to be here with you.
Absolutely. And I am so happy to have you here. And, it is true when you're doing something that is, ordained by God, the enemy will try to show up. And, it was just different little things this morning, just little things. And it's like, the clock is ticking and I'm like, okay, you have to be on time. All of these things are going through your mind. And so, I said, you know what, I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to do my part. This The first one, it's not supposed to be perfect. It's just supposed to be is. It's supposed to be. And we move forward and we grow from there. We get better from there. Everybody has a starting point, and this just happens to be ours. And so I'm excited for what you're doing. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about your giftings and, what is your gift? Have you identified what your gifts are? And if so, please share them with us.
All right. I'll share it kind of in a story-like form. When I was young, I was known in school. People used to come and ask me for advice as if I knew a whole lot about things. And I was like, why are people asking me? And I think it's kind of because I have a studious kind of persona, I guess. I do read a lot, and words are important to me, and they've always been. And so I think because I came across as helpful, people just seem to be like, okay, I'm going to ask you. And dating myself a little bit, people used to call me in school Ann Landers, because she was the one that had the advice column in the paper. And they were like, just go ask, my nickname is Nikki, just go ask Nikki, because if she's going to know, she's going to know. And one of the things that I grew up doing is giving advice and encouraging people. I didn't know that that's what that was called. Then I didn't know that there was a gift of that as far as scripture's concerned. So I just did it. It's one of the things that I love to do. I'm a very social person. And so I like to have people around me, and I like to be in a space where it's a good time. But I'm also perceptive when things are off and when people don't seem to be feeling the same thing, even if they present themselves as if they are. And so God has given me the gift of encouraging, and I am also a teacher, and I have decided to allow him to continue to develop the prophetic in me. I've been fighting that for a very long time. And the dreams and things that he has given me, and the times when he's prompted me to speak and I obeyed, those things have come to pass, and those things have been proven true because he said them. So I'm allowing him to develop that now. I am calming down and I'm saying yes to that part. But I love to encourage and speak into especially women and young girls. So those are my giftings.
I love it. And so it sounds like you discovered this when you were younger, but you just really didn't know exactly what it is. And I can testify to that as well, because I always had that gift of encouraging people. Even when I was feeling low, I was able to talk people through things and help people kind of like, hey, girl, you can do this. But just being able to encourage people and inspire people. And so how do you use your gifts now? How do you use them in your business or your ministry or your career? How do you share with them how you use your gifts now?
Okay, so I have a women's empowerment initiative. It is called Empower Her, and God gave it to me, the name of it, in 2017. And as I said before, I'm a word person, and I love to use the right word in the moment. I tend to sometimes correct my family, not strangers, but family and friends real close. They use the incorrect word for what they're trying to convey. And what I know is that words have power. Mm-hmm. And the way that I use my gift for encouragement, the first thing I want to share with everyone is that God gave me something that shook me to my core and changed my life. He told me that encouragement is not to make me feel better. Encouragement is not a feeling. And so often we rely on our feelings, and we know, especially as women, sometimes our hormones will knock our feelings. We wake up and be perfectly fine, and then this hormone will kick in and we'll be somewhere in the top of the house and don't know why. But what God said to me was encouragement is a reminder of a solid truth. We can't allow our feelings to take us away. So what I do is encourage, and I remind people of this solid truth, the fact about a thing. The truth of the matter is, regardless of what is going on, God has made us in his image and his likeness. So not only are we a physical representation of what God looks like, but his mannerisms and his character, that's an imprint on our soul and our life. And so when things begin to happen and change begins to come, and we've come up against things that we weren't expecting, the solid truth is that we can face it. The solid truth is that God has already equipped us. The solid truth is we have victory already. And so because of that, there's a lot that we don't have to entertain. There's a lot that we don't have to listen to. We can block it off and we can say, no, this isn't true. You know why it isn't true? And we have the Bible to give us these solid truths. We have the things that we know about God. God has proven him to me to be a healer. He's proven himself to me to be a way maker when no one else could. He's proven to me, he's brought me through. And so these are the ways that I use that in Empower. I encourage women. So I remind them of solid truth. Yeah, you may be having a difficult day, a difficult time in the day, but I never say I'm having a bad day. Why? Because this is the day that the Lord has made. Yes. And everything that he makes is what? Good. And so that has already been established. So these are the things that I remind women. Don't say you having a bad day. No, you're having a challenging time period in this day, but baby, the day was good when your feet hit the floor. The day was good before you got up. The day was good when God tapped you and allowed you to hear that alarm clock. The day was good. So don't have a good day. Be good in the day, because the day is good. And so these are the things that I try to remind us. God gave us dominion. He told us we have dominion. So what I say out of my mouth, it creates things. God is creator by voice. So when we begin to say these things, we have to be reminded. And this is not positive speaking. That's different. This isn't positive thinking. I'm talking about solid truth of what God has said, because we know what God says is the facts and the truth, and can't nobody make it a lie. Absolutely. And so everything that God has said, he has something that pertains to our life at every moment. And so that is my goal and intent, is to remind everyone, listen, you are who God said you are. You can do what God said you can do. Nobody can, even I can't stop what God says I'm going to do. Right. Come on. Because if I'm yielded to him, then I'm going to do it. I might hem and haw and stammer and take a little while, but what I will do if I'm yielded to him is get there. And so that is my encouragement, that I literally preach about. Oftentimes I preach about identity and purpose, because once we know who we are, we can know what we can do. Absolutely. And until then, this is why some of us are so, late in the game, if you will, getting to where God wants us to be, because we've allowed society to dictate. And I have decided that no created being is going to be able to tell me their opinion is not going to weigh more than my creator. Right. He created them and me. So we're both should go to him to find out who we are and what we can do. And so that's how it usually comes across. I get excited, so I had to calm myself down. Right.
So you founded Empower in 2017. So what was that like? What was that like when you founded Empower Her?
Founding Empower was a struggle for me, because I have always been a person that was super content and sought out the background. I did not want to be in the front unless I was teaching. And if I was teaching a group, I was fine with teaching. But I used to have an apprehension about teaching God people in a dedicated Christian space, either church or, under that umbrella, because I was like, I don't want to be a preacher. I don't want anyone to think that I think I'm I have some type of extra this or that. I was fine to just sit still. But God wouldn't let me. And he kept putting this in me. And he was reminding me, because I was like, God, I don't want to speak to a lot of people. I don't want to do this, that, and the third. And then he reminded me, I've been preparing you for this. And it's amazing the way God does these things, because I was a corporate trainer. And so I trained people literally every day. I flew different places for trainings. I taught people. That was my job. And then when God says to me, do it, I'm like, oh no, I can't do it, God. I had my Moses moment. God, I can't speak in front of people. I can't this. And then he reminded me, what do you so you can't speak for me? You speak for this company. You did this. And I said, oh, okay. Well, in that case, let me write down what you gave me and let me start doing it. And I realized that one person who really helped me to illuminate, in which we talked about in the group, was my aunt. And she was like, you've already been doing this. What do you mean you can't do it? Now it just has a name, but you've been doing this. And so often when God calls us into something, we think we're not ready, but we haven't been paying attention to all of the little crumbs and pebbles that God has been providing. We've been doing these things. So now when he calls it a name, then we get, oh no, we don't want to name it, and we don't want to be responsible. But God is showing us, no, it's me. You've been doing it all along because I put it in you. You're made in my image and likeness. This is what I do. So this is why some of these things, like you said, the gifts, they come so easily. You find yourself saying something, oh, you can do it. Oh, this, and you wonder, man, that just came out of me, and I need to tell that to myself.
Absolutely.
And so what God does is he allows us, if we are sensitive, to see how he's been connecting these dots. And so when I finally said yes to God, I said, okay, my husband was pastoring, and so we had women, and so I was over the women, and we began to, I had a little text group with the women, and we would meet, and so it grew from there. And I've always loved the teenagers. They're my favorite group of young people. I love them. They are like a part of who I am. And so in ministries, people are like, we need somebody. Nobody wants the teens. I'm like, oh, good. Give me the teens. And so God has helped me to be able to relate with them just by a transparency. And so Empower came kind of together just by me saying yes. It just became what it always had been by me saying yes. And so it's starting to pick up traction. The YouTube is growing. Things are growing because I took God out of handcuffs, because at first I only wanted to do certain things. I only wanted to do in person. Well, hello, COVID. I only wanted to do certain things. And so God is like, oh, really? Well, this is how you're going to do what I said, because you said yes to me. And so the dreams that he's given me, the things that are happening, this being here with you, it's all part of what he has said to me. So when these things begin to happen, my mind is blown, and I'm excited because I know that you're doing, like when we spoke, I was telling you, I don't have to worry about the part of covering gifts. God gave Frankie that to cover. I can do my identity stuff because that's what he gave me to cover. And so when you step into your obedience and I step into my obedience, the world is going to have to reckon with it, because we're doing what God has called us to do. And so that is what is Empower. Girlfriend, you are gifted. Listen, all of it, it fills me up in a way that I can't even explain, because seeing us obey God, that's powerful stuff.
Definitely. Especially when God gets the glory and other people are blessed. And that's what this is all about. And I love something that you said earlier. You were saying that, God was preparing you for what you were supposed to do. It's so easy to do it for your job and to show up and be amazing and, deliver this presentation. But then when God says, okay, so that thing that you did over there, now I need you to do that over here. We get stuck. Like,
Yes.
what am I supposed to talk about? What am I supposed to do? And it's like, what to do. Just like you did the research for this PowerPoint to deliver for, this company or this project, that's the same thing that you could do for me. And, God had to, he had to nudge me a little more than extra to get me to this point to where it's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me move forward. And so what is that? When you think about when God is nudging you, what does that feel like? What does that feel like in terms of saying, okay, God, this is what you have gifted me with. And now everything, every crumb, every pebble, every opportunity, now I can use this to encourage your people. What was that feeling? What did that look like?
Okay. So his nudging for me was opportunities. Things began to people began to reach out to me and ask me, and not in a way like with my friends with just regular things, but people had serious situations that they were asking about. People had questions about how to apply scripture in their life, how to overcome. And so the nudging for me looked like God sending people my way. And I would find the answer in scripture. Some of it would be directly related to what I was dealing with or what I had just gone through. But often when we're in a place of trying to yield to God, of I'm almost saying yes, what he begins to do is allow us to experience it. That way, absolutely, it's individual and personal. One of the things that I always say to people is you can't unknow what you know. So when it happens to me, I can't then be like, no, I didn't tell her that, when she knows I told her, when we both were there in the conversation. And then God says, see how I gave you what to say? You see how you opened your mouth and I filled it? You see how that you're praying and you're fasting and you're studying? You see how that looks now that you have an answer? We're supposed to be ready to give an answer. And so when people come, my nudging was like, and this one's coming, and this person comes, and people that you don't know, because people responded to, some videos that I have online and things, they reach out and I'm like, oh God, help me, because it's not missed that these are God's people and I don't want to say the wrong thing. And so what he's shown me is his nudges for me look like, I'm pushing you into doing what I asked you to do. It's coming to you. You don't have to seek it out. It's going to come to you. And so those things began to come. Opportunities to speak at church started coming. And I was like, wait, I don't want to have to preach, because I really was against that for all of my years. But my husband went away to Afghanistan and Kuwait for a year. And so the church was there with me and another elder. So we took turns preaching. And I was like, wow, God, that was another nudge, the opportunity, because the elder in charge was like, all right, we're going to do it like this. And so I'll tag you when I want you to go. Are you ready? And I'm like, okay.
Like a deer in headlights, it sounds like. And I can identify with that. When it's time, it's like, okay, you're up. And we have some folks in the chat. We have Evangelist Montgomery, one of our speakers, says, so good, we must be ready to give an answer. And so that is so true. You are going to have to give an account of, yes, what you did and when God has pushed you and gave you that nudge to move forward. And so I really like what you said about not only, the opportunities come, because sometimes you have to be in position for something to happen, and even having that Moses moment, things had to happen for Moses to have to speak. And so that's an opportunity. And that's when God says, okay, time to go. And so just those opportunities coming to you, when you think about them and just thinking about, okay, sometimes you're not thinking, okay, I'm gifted in this area, so this is what I'm going to do. What happens? What does that process look like when you're moving forward or you're preparing when those opportunities come your way?
Oh, when it's a conscious knowing, it's a lot. And so what I thank God for is he has allowed me to kind of do it and feel the nerve or the impact of the moment after. Because like you said at the top about it being effortless, it's my natural inclination to go into it. And so when someone comes and asks me a question, even with my daughter, and she has billions of questions, I want her to have an answer, even if it's, mommy doesn't know right now, I'm gonna come back to you. I'm one of those people who I want the why and I want the how. And so what God has helped me to do is to be able to give that when someone is asking. And so the preparation for it, we have to read and we have to pray. There's no getting around there, because my opinion on the situation is not what God's blessing is tied to. His blessing is tied to his word. And so the best thing I can do for anybody who comes to me is give them that, because that's what he's attached to. That's what he has guaranteed. That's what he has to bless, because it's already settled. How I feel about it it's not, I can commiserate with you and I can make you feel seen and heard, but at the end of it, what I'm going to give you is what God says, because we want him to bless it. He's the one who can change it. He's the one who can settle it. He's the one who will manifest the change. So at the end of it, all of my opinion and all of what I have to say, that's good, but it needs to come down to, but how is this going to help me though? But how can I go forward? And the only way forward, and the only way to have a guarantee, because I can give you what I think might work. I can give you what worked for me. But only guaranteed success is what God himself has spoken. And so there's no substitute for praying. There's no substitute for reading and knowing that Bible for ourselves, believing it to be true so that we can give that to people, because that's what does the work. That's what does the changing. And that is what God is attached to. He must make his word come to pass. So I can't make mine come to pass, no matter how much I want it. But God, that's his business and his job, and he has to do it. So I don't need to offer anybody anything else. In the grand scheme of things, make his word practical, and he's going to do the blessing of his word.
Absolutely. And so we have some folks in the chat saying, do it afraid. And that when God's word is hidden in our hearts, then sin is called to be abated through our obedience to his spirit's leading. And so the thing that I really love about what you're saying is that it comes from God. So it's all God and it goes back to God. And so it's a 360 degrees. When God is in it, then it has to come to pass. And so talk to us a little bit about, we have a few more minutes, and I do want to talk about Daveny, the Everyday Princess. So tell us about your book. Talk to us about your book.
The book Daveny, the Everyday Princess, came about because it was a surprise to me. One, because I never thought I would write a book, much less a children's book. That was not my intent ever in life. But we had a situation where we were looking for princess dolls that looked like her. She wanted a little brown princess. We went in the store, couldn't find any. She was disturbed. And she was like, Mommy, are there not brown princesses in real life? And I said, no, there are. And she was like, well, why can't we find any? And so we got online and tried to look and see, where actual princess dolls were. And she didn't find one. And I showed her that, no, there are brown royalty. There are Black kings, queens, princesses, princes, that it exists. We exist. And she was like, so I don't understand. And so then we had this conversation about her identity in God, because she was like, but so then if it's not important enough for the people to make it in the store, am I really a princess? And so we had this conversation, me, her dad, and her, about, no, you are God's princess. This is who God created you to be. And yes, it would feel good for the world to validate that and agree. But what God says isn't waiting for man to say it is so. It's already so. And I said, so you're already God's princess because he made you. You're his child. This is a fact. This does not change. And so we started, she has a list of affirmations and things that she says every morning. I'm a child of God. I am loved. I am blessed. I am strong. I am courageous. It's probably about 20 or 30 things. She has it memorized now because we say it every morning and every evening about who God has made her to be. So the book, Daveny the Everyday Princess, is just a conversation starter for little girls who don't see themselves, whatever way that is, represented in the society, to know that society may not have caught up, but God, you were blessed before you got here. You are God's princess, and there's nothing anybody can do to change that. So that is how the book came about. And it's been doing pretty good with very little marketing from me, since that's not my ministry. But I thank God that he has blessed it, because he put it on my heart to do. So it's doing fairly well.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited, and I definitely want to make sure I grab a copy for my granddaughters. But when I thought about that, just that being an everyday princess, especially for little girls during this time where, little Black girls, they're not, in the past, we haven't really had an opportunity to see representation of us in different areas. And now what they get to see in so many different areas, in tennis and gymnastics and, creators and, corporate, we see the representation now. And so I love the idea of the everyday princess, because whether they want to admit it or not, we do have a Black princess. She's married to, Prince Harry. They're not going to give us credit for it, but we'll take it.
Yes, we will.
So we have everyday princess. Okay. Not to mention all the princesses. I don't know if they still do kings and queens in Africa, but we do have princes and princesses back there. So I just love the idea of sharing with your young daughter, your young Black daughter, that she is an everyday princess, and having her hold on to that, because she is, and all of the young girls are. And so, so we have a few minutes left, and I did want you, so what do you have going on? How can people connect with you? How can we stay connected and plugged into Miss Kim Washington?
Okay, the easiest hub to go to, because it has all of my socials and everything about Empower Her, is my website, and that is www.kimberlynwashington.com. Kimberly, Kimberly, N as in Nancy, Washington.com. Go there, read up about me, read up about Empower. You can read about Daveny the Everyday Princess. Importantly, you can follow me on Instagram from there. Empower, MPOWHER 540 is on Instagram. And YouTube, you put Empower in the search engine, it will come up, MPOWHER. It's going through a revitalization. First new video coming out on Monday, the 19th. I'm super excited about the direction and the refocus of the channel. I have a Facebook group. It's called Empower, MPOWHER. And so God is moving us forward. And one thing I wanted to remind every lady who's watching this, every woman, is God has something for us to do. And it doesn't matter that we're in a patriarchal society and that so much is man driven, and so much is, if you're not a white male, then you don't have much to say. Just like I tell my daughter, God has given all of us something. And just like the title of this summit, girlfriend, You are gifted. God has given each and every one of us something special. And it doesn't matter that someone else is in the same space as you. What they don't have is you. They don't
Right.
have your experience. They can't bring everything that you have gone through, your thought patterns, the creativity that God has given you, the slant that he's given you to present it in. So don't ever not do what God has called you to do because it looks like someone else is doing it. Nobody else is doing what God has called you to do, because he made it uniquely for you to do. And there are people that only you can reach. Yes, we can have a community, like I'm in Frankie's community, she's in mine, but there's things that only Frankie can do. There's things that only I can do. Then people are going to resonate with each of us individually for those gifts. So don't ever allow yourself to sit back and be quiet or be muted or be faded gray, because you're full of color, you're gifted, you're empowered, you're special to God. He's created you in his image and likeness. There's nothing that he has called you to do that he has not already gifted you with the ability to carry out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I really appreciate you. And thank you for sharing a little bit of your journey of how you come to learn about your gifts and tell us about how your gifts made room for you. So we just thank you so much. I really appreciate you for coming on today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Frankie. I'm going to be watching.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome.